What's up, everybody? This is Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. I'm David Barnett of the Tour Junkies. That's Pat Perry of the Tour Junkies. We are together at Pat's home in Savannah. We are headed to the Players' Championship in just a couple hours. We're going to be media credentialed at the Players, learning a little bit about this golf course, about the Players, what's going on. We're excited about it. So we're together tonight. You get a rare just DB and Pat duo ready to go. Yep. So it's been a good show. We had a good podcast just a minute ago, and we have a couple of names that we want to talk about. This is a big tournament, big event, tons of great contests on DraftKings that you're going to want to check out. You've got the new DraftKings tiers structure, which is pretty cool. We talked about that a good bit on our podcast. Really excited to see how that works out. You got a millionaire maker this week for DraftKings, which is also exciting. So, as we like to do, we like to have a nice, refreshing beverage. It's late at night. We are loose. We're ready to go. We just want to talk about a couple names, talk about the golf course, and at the end, we're going to give you our DraftKings Sportsbook picks that we think are interesting numbers. So, Pat, why don't you talk to us a little bit about this lovely Pete Dye design that is the stadium course?
Yes, it is an incredible course we're on this week. We are at TPC Sawgrass in lovely Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. It is playing as a par 72, 7,189 yards, which isn't very long when you think about typical tour standards. I think that brings a lot of players into the field this week, and we typically see that at this event. This course really tests every part of a player's game, and that's what Pete Dye designed it for, and so that's what you're going to see this week. We got a full field. It will be 144 players. You will have T65 and ties that will make the cut. You got Bermuda grass this week, overseeded for the most part with rye. They do overseed it a little bit with Poena on the greens, but that's important to note because this tournament changed 2 years ago, where it was played in May 2 years ago, but last year it was played in March, and this year obviously in March, and so that's important. So I'm looking at stats last year because the grass surface is a lot different when it comes kind of coming out of winter into the summer as opposed to where it is in the summer in May. So that's something that we're going to look at this week. I do think this course is going to play pretty firm and fast. We haven't got a lot of rain this week, so I think it is going to be a quick course. It's going to be difficult, but it's not going to be as difficult as we've been seeing lately with the Arnold Palmer and the Honda Classic, where the scores have been so high. We're going to get some birdies this week, and we're definitely going to get some birdies on these par fives. That is where you've got to take advantage of this course. They are all gettable. You've got to score on the par fives out here. I think that's important. Water is in play on 17 of the 18 holes, so you want to avoid the big numbers. But I think, again, this is going to be a course that's going to test all facets of these guys' games. And
17 of the 18 holes? 17
of 18 holes. It's right here. Look, this is printed from the GCSAA, which I think is like the Greenkeepers Society of America or something. And look, right here, number of water hazards, 17.
17.
How many holes is water in play? 17. Look at it. It's right there. It says it.
I do see that. Okay. I didn't remember that, but okay.
Anyway, just so you know that.
You're right.
Outside of that, weather is not going to be a factor this week, for once, in the last 3 weeks.
It looks to be that way.
It's going to be pretty benign. So I'm excited to see some scoring. Look, I don't mind carnage, but I want to see a little scoring.
3 weeks in a row, I can't take it.
Yeah, I can't take that.
That is something to pay attention to is weather. It doesn't look like it's going to be a big deal, but I do think, as you mentioned, firm and fast conditions are what we are likely to see this week. And as you mentioned, anybody can play here. Anybody can compete here. Short hitters, bombers, all the like. However, I do think, you gotta be hitting it pure. You got to be able to get up and down when you miss these greens.
Scrambling's good.
Scrambling is key. I'm looking at scrambling. I'm looking at guys who putt well on Bermuda historically, even though The overseed does impact it a little bit. I still think the Bermuda greens are going to play a factor. We talked to a caddy, and he said this. He said that he thinks that experience matters, that you have to realize how much room you have off the tee at this golf course. Accuracy matters, and this is not a course that you can fire away at pins. You have to know how to attack these Pete Dye greens. That is straight from a caddy, a 20-year PGA Tour caddy. So I am looking at experience. I do think, there are the occasional first-timers that can play well. But I think overall, if you've got a coin flip, if you're trying to determine between one player or another, I do think having a little bit of experience here on this course, knowing how to attack these flags, because the greens are larger or average size, but the landing areas are small. And what Pete Dye does is he deceives you visually off the tee. So having that experience.
Very astute point there.
Yes, he does.
He does that.
He does do that rascally Pete Dye. R.I.P. Pete.
Yeah, rest his soul.
But at the same time, I think your winning score is going to be like 14 under, something like that. You're going to have some eagles here on these par fives, as Pat mentioned. But it's wide open. It's wide open. I think for DraftKings purposes, for your classic DraftKings, it is all about ownership. It is all about value. You're playing in these big tournaments, these big GPPs. You got to have ownership leverage if you're going to compete in those tournaments. So it's what it is. It's a stacked field. It's the best field we see all year, including all the majors. It is the best
Except
field.
for we don't have Tiger.
Except we don't have Tiger, who withdrew with a little nagging back injury. We both believe that he will play Augusta.
Yeah.
Pat thinks he may play before Augusta. I don't, but it is unfortunate to see that Tiger has withdrawn. Lee Westwood has withdrawn as well. So let's get into it with a couple of names that we had some disagreement with on the podcast just a few moments ago, and then we'll wrap up with our DraftKings Sportsbook picks. Pat, I have to ask you how. Now we talked about the 9K and above range, and
we do that every week.
We do that every week. I'm pretty sure we hit that range every week. I made the statement. The 9K and above range is full of great players, big names, and I can understand why anybody would play anyone in this range except for really Brooks Koepka. I'm not a big believer in Brooks Koepka right now. I don't know that his knee is perfectly healed. His mental state or the swagger seems to be a little wavering at the moment. The form is not great. I'm not willing to pay up for him at the moment. But I pretty much said everyone else in this 9K range I could see playing. You agreed with the Brooks Koepka take, but also faded Patrick Cantlay. I have a soft spot for Patrick Cantlay. He is an incredible ball striker. So I need you to explain to me, I need you to sell me more on why I should be fading Patrick Cantlay.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, look, all of these guys in this range, and you mentioned it, are fantastic players. And it's hard to fade anyone. I mean, but I felt like I needed to make a bold call this week. And I think Cantlay is going to be extremely high owned. You look at his last few events, he was 20% owned at the Genesis. He was 25% at the AT&T Pro-Am, 23 at the Tournament of Champions. Now that's a shorter field event, so it doesn't matter. But look, he's going to be high owned this week, and that concerns me a little bit.
Is he though? With all these big names, is he going to be high owned?
I think he is.
He hasn't played in the last couple weeks, so he's out of sight, out of mind.
He hasn't played in a month.
He's out of sight, out of mind.
Which is actually a point I'd like to make. I don't think he's coming into this field having not played in a month in tournament conditions. That concerns me a little bit for him. He doesn't putt well on Bermuda greens. He's 80th in the field in strokes gained putting on Bermuda greens. So I think that Cantlay is a good candidate to fade here. And look, you could make cases for everybody here and whatever else. I think it's a bold one. I'm going to go ahead and admit I'm taking a risk here in fading Cantlay, but I'm okay with it. I am going to plant my flag, fade Cantlay, and look, I mean, it wasn't like it's not like he's been lights out here. He missed a cut here last year on this grass surface, which is a lot different than what we've seen. It wasn't in May, which is what he did finish top 25 2 years in a row in May. But last year in those conditions, he missed a cut.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a little bit different course for him. I don't like him at 9,800. I think a lot of people are gonna gravitate towards him in that range. So I'm gonna fade some Cantlay, and I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'm fine with taking the risk.
Since his miscut, he's not had another miscut, and he's had 7 top 10s since that miscut, including after that miscut. You know what he did? He didn't play for a month. He came back and played the Masters and finished 9th at the Masters after not playing a month.
All the more reason I think he's going to be higher owned and worth a fade.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well,
I understand.
You have not convinced me.
I understand by fading Patrick Cantlay that's taking some risk, but that's what am I doing here? Am I supposed to just sit here and I want to fade Dustin Johnson because he's playing terrible right now, and I want to fade Brooks Koepka because that's easy and he's got an injury? That's good. That's good. That's good TV.
You're right.
Or whatever
You do have to plant your TV. This is not 1965. No,
look, I'm taking a risk with it. And I'm going to run with it.
I'm just saying.
Hey, look, come back to me on Sunday or Monday.
I'm just saying you have not convinced me. That's all. That's all. All right.
I want to talk about a player that we didn't talk about on the show.
Okay, who's that?
I want to get your opinion on Jordan Spieth.
Oh. That's a good.
We didn't mention him his name did not come out at all on the podcast.
It's incredible.
And so I wrote him down as somebody I wanted to ask you about and put you on the spot about Jordan Spieth this week for this event, which he has sucked at traditionally. He has sucked at the Players Championship every single year.
Well, and unfortunately, he's also just sucked in general lately. But
there's a lot of new players this week that know Jordan Spieth's name and might think about playing him. So why should they not play him?
They should not play him because off the tee and with his irons, he has been awful. He's been consistently awful, especially with his irons, since really the beginning of 2019. The beginning of 2019 is when you see a drastic drop of Jordan's iron play. And then the driver started to kind of follow behind middle of 2019, and your irons have to be on point attacking these Pete Dye greens. So I don't care how good a scrambler he is, how good a putter he is. I mean, even if you look at the putting, in his last 5 events, he's only been positive in strokes gained putting in 2 of the last 5. 2 of the last 5. That's since January of 2020. So in all of 2020, he's only been positive in putting 2 of the last 5 events. He's been positive in his iron play in 1 event. All around, the game just isn't there. I want it to be there. I think it's good for the game for Jordan to be playing well, but I cannot buy it regardless of the price tag, regardless of the ownership. It's a fade for me.
So we got a millie maker this week on DraftKings. If he's sitting there and you see him projected 2% owned or something come Wednesday, are you gonna be tempted to play him at all?
It would depend on how many lineups you're doing. If you're doing if you're doing 20, 30 lineups or more in the millie, and you want to throw him in 2 lineups to get him at 10, 15%, which is going to be probably at least double what he'll be owned, just to have some exposure to him because he does have upside whenever he decides to play well again, I guess. I don't think we're going to see that. I think with Jordan it's going to be a slower comeback. I think we're going to start to see things hit a little. I think we're going to be able to see it coming a little bit, not just all of a sudden go from where he's been to, okay, now he's a top 5, top 10 player again. I don't think we're going to see that. So, the last one I had for you is your Sergio play. I know Sergio is a former winner here, got a great record, at TPC Sawgrass, but I mean it's not like anything crazy lately. I mean a 22nd last year, 70th the year before. I mean he does tend to make some cuts, but I don't know. I have a hard time with Sergio. The inconsistency. Not really any great finishes since the Wells Fargo in May on the PGA Tour. Now I know he's played some European Tour events, done okay. This is the strongest field we see all year, across the PGA Tour, across the European Tour, there's not a better field in golf. And he hadn't hung a top 25 since May on the PGA Tour.
Well, May is May. In May, I shot a 95, but I shot an 89.
May is May.
May is May. I shot an 89 2 weeks ago, and a 95 probably in May. So, things can change a lot. And look, if you look at Sergio Garcia, his last two...
Terrible for you, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But anyway, his last two starts over here, he was 37th at the Genesis, which respectable on a very tough course. He was 37th also at the WGC Mexico. 6th in Saudi Arabia.
Against who?
I don't know, but 23rd at the Mega Dubai. Also at Abu Dhabi, he was 8th. The guy's...
That's what I said. He's done European Tour fine.
He's actually playing okay. You're getting him at 8,000. You're getting a guy that has played this course a ton. You talked about experience, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I could be wrong at the top of the show.
I did.
And he definitely has a lot of experience out here. So at 8,000, I don't mind it at all. I think he's a good play. I like him in tournaments. I'm not going to play cash or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I do like him in tournaments. I think it's definitely worth a play. Now, not traditionally a great putter on Bermuda greens. I think that's pretty well known. But outside of that, you look at stats for him on a longer period of time on Bermuda surfaces. He is really good. So I think that he definitely makes some sense in some tournament lineup, especially maybe like that Millie Maker if you wanna get it. He's gonna be low owned. There's not gonna be a whole lot of people that play Sergio. You look at. Again.
Okay.
I think he's in play.
Okay. Let's talk DK Sportsbook picks for the week. I got some outrights here I want to go with. The sweet spot lately has been that like 60 to 70 to 1 to 40 to 1 number. I'm going to start with Matt Kuchar at 45 to 1. He's won here before. He seems to be kind of the forgotten man. Hadn't played in a few weeks, I think since maybe the WGC Mexico. Ideal course for him. Just sets up really well for Matt Kuchar. Very comfortable here. If Webb Simpson can play well here, so can Matt Kuchar. I like him at 45 to 1. I like Paul Casey at 66 to 1. That's just a really good number for one of the best ball strikers in the game. It's all about the putter for Paul. If the putter clicks, he's a top 10, top 5, and potentially winning player. So it's all about the putter. A guy who I'm not usually on, but played well last week, finished 9th, I believe, last week at Bay Hill, and that's Matthew Fitzpatrick, who is 70 to 1. Really liking Fitzpatrick this week. I feel like this, we've talked about it being firm and fast. I think it's a great setup for him, so I like that. Getting into the longer numbers, Joel Damon at 125 to 1. I am going to hammer that. I'm going to hammer a top 10 bet on Joel Damon. He's playing very well right now. He feels good right now. He finished 12th. He's one of the rare first-timers to come out last year and finish 12th. This is a golf course that suits him, especially firm and fast and difficult. Coming off a good week last week, I love Damon at 125 to 1. And then I'm going to go with a really long shot, but it's a name that I don't understand, at 200 to 1. Cameron Smith, the Australian, who has won this year. He's won a PGA Tour event this year. He's a multi-time PGA Tour winner, actually. Also won the Zurich. He's competed in majors. He's competed in big fields. Aussies tend to do well here. Look at Adam Scott. Look at Jason Day. Now, I don't think Cam Smith's done very well here in the past, but he's a great scrambler, one of the best scramblers on the PGA Tour. For him, it's really just is he gonna groove it with the irons and off the tee? So I think Cam Smith is a lock at 200 to 1. You got to throw a half unit on him, something. So that's my DK Sportsbook picks.
Wow. Well, I had to scratch off 1, 2, 3 picks because you had them.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to start with the shortest odds guy that I like, and that is Patrick Reed at 35 to 1. He's been playing incredible lately. I think he is just a man on the mission. He basically says, F all the haters. I'm going to do whatever I can to win every tournament, and I don't care. And he's he's playing well. So I like Patrick Reed at 35-1. I like Abraham Answer at 90-1. I think, we saw him have a little bit of pressure in Mexico. Maybe hasn't played all that great lately, but look, this is a guy that is an absolute stud, and I think he can win here on this course. So I like him at 90-1. With you on Joel Damon, I mentioned, or you mentioned, so I had to scratch him off. With you on Matthew Fitzpatrick, I had to scratch him off. I like Tony Finau, though. I'll go back a little bit at 60-1. Look, I know he can't win a damn tournament, but I'm still going to throw a few shinkles on him. I think he could be a good play this week at 60-1. And then also Ian Poulter at 110-1.
Okay.
And here's why, Ian Poulter has been very good on this course. We saw a guy like Jim Furyk last year almost win. He came very close to winning this tournament.
Actually, it came second, which is as close as you can get without winning.
Exactly. But
mathematically.
But what my point is like an older guy who's got experience out here. I think Ian Poulter could be the Jim Furyk of 2020, and he's at 110-1 in the DraftKings Sportsbook. I like that play.
I like Poulter.
So
great scrambler. I like that play.
So there you go.
There you go. Me and Pat on the grounds at the Players Championship Tuesday and Wednesday. Be sure and check out what we got going on. We'll give you some inside info. Head over to tourjunkies.com if you haven't already. Join the Nut Hut private chat room. That's where we'll dish out some good info come Wednesday night. Thanks for watching Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. May your screens be green, people. See ya!
Out!